Good day, campers. Today I'm going to be adding a door switch for the pantry light. This camper came with a light for the pantry, but they installed a manual switch for the light, and my bride forgets the light and the switch are there, so she asked me to put in a switch so that the light comes on when the door is opened. I ordered a set of 4 switches made specifically just for this purpose from Amazon. There is a link in the description of this video. I will be wiring the new switch in series with the factory switch so that the factory switch enables or disables the door switch. That way, if you don't want to use the door switch, you can just turn the manual switch off inside the pantry. This is a simple, straightforward mod if your pantry, like mine, already has a light. But it's a bit more involved if you don't. There are three basic choices if you want to add a light and don't have one. You can add battery-powered, motion-activated lights under each shelf. This, of course, is the simplest option. Not a big fan of motion sensor lights because some of them don't work that well. You can find the closest ceiling light and route wire from that ceiling light into the pantry to power your door switch. This is fine, except then your pantry light only works if the light where you got power is actually turned on. You can run power from the battery through the underbelly into the pantry. This is how mine is done from the factory. While this is probably the right way to do this, it's also the most involved. This way the pantry light is independent of any other lights. Maybe save this for the next time you have to get into the underbelly for some other reason. The first thing I want to do is to remove a chunk of the door jamb so that I can install the light in a recessed area. I think this will give it a more factory look, but mounting the switch right on the door jamb will also work. Before we get started on the actual work, let's talk a little bit about the tools that we're going to need. Going to need a crimper for crimping the spade lug that goes on the back of the factory switch, set of strippers and wire cutters. These are in the same tool. Going to need a box cutter to open up the hole a little bit where the wires for the existing LED lights go through the wall of the pantry. Going to need a short piece of wire to go from the mechanical switch inside the pantry to my door switch. The switches that I bought use a small screw that crimps down on the wire after you insert it into the switch. So I have a number 1 Phillips screwdriver. That, of course, is the switch that I need it for. And this is the crimp-on spade lug that will go on to the back of the switch. The first step in mounting this switch is I'm going to use the actual switch and mark its size on the door jamb. I'm using my box cutter, which gives me a nice clean line. Okay, so I've marked where I'm going to cut this out. It's going to cut out from here to here. I have marked the width of the tool that I'm adding to the tools list that was not at the beginning of the video. It's a small handheld hacksaw blade for cutting this wood. I've put some packing tape on the face of the door frame to kind of protect it a little bit. And now we're going to cut this out. Now I'm going to use my box cutter to cut out this section of door jamb. And that will allow me to get my saw blade in this opening and cut the rest of the door jamb out. Next thing I want to do, since I've cut this all up and made it ugly, is I'm going to use a touch-up pen that I bought at the local Walmart that is very, very close to the stain in this particular trailer. Since it's kind of dark, if you don't have one of those, you can use a Sharpie. All right, let's talk a little bit about how this switch is wired. This is coming from the battery from 12 volts somewhere, which is going into the switch. When the switch is turned on, puts 12 volts to this wire, which is the positive side of our LED lights. This is ground from the batteries, or negative. This is the negative side of our LEDs going into the harness, going to the lights. Our next step here is to wire in our door switch. So what I'm going to do is remove this wire from the back of the factory manual switch. And I'm going to pull this wire back out so that I can use it to connect to my door switch. So I've now stripped the wire. It inserts into the bottom of this switch. And then there's a screw here in the side that tightens down on the wire. So now we'll route our little piece of wire through the existing hole. And try real hard to grab it from the back. And we're going to crimp this lug onto the end of the wire and connect it to our mechanical switch. So everything's back together. My door switch is mounted in its little cutout. The factory switch is still here. That is the enable position. That is the disable position. With it in the enable position, when you close the door, the light goes out. So that's all there is to that. Thanks for watching. And please remember to like and subscribe.